Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Price of gas has been in the news lately because the prices are kind of high. And a story I saw in the news was sent to me by Steve, not me, from the Kansas City Star, but widely reported. A gas station owner was on the verge of tears after undercharging for fuel in Tennessee. Mitchell Willits wrote the story a couple days ago. And for a brief few hours, a convenience store in Tennessee was accidentally selling gas at the lowest price of any gas station in the country, and the owner didn't catch it for a little while. One customer from Chattanooga suspected something was wrong when, after putting 12 gallons of premium into his car, the pump's digital readout displayed a surprising total of $5.64. The gas pump was, in essence, charging 45 cents a gallon for premium. So it was missing a digit. And I'm sure you know that nowadays all these pump settings are digital. I remember in the old days when they were actually mechanical. Watch the dials roll physically like an odometer in an old car. But 45 cents a gallon. With the average cost for a gallon of gas hovering well over $4 in the price of premium at that time in Tennessee, about $4.64, it looks like they were missing a digit. The deep discount would have been welcome if it wasn't so clearly a mistake, the man said in his Facebook post. He went inside the station and told the gas station owner, by the way, I think you've got a malfunction on your pump out there. Now, he said that there was a language barrier between him and the guy behind the counter, so he asked the owner for a receipt, and he then circled the dollars and cents and showed it to the gas station owner. And he said he ran back around the counter and started poking at his screen and then turned green. And apparently it had been that way for about 5 hours. Now, the good news for him is not everyone's buying premium these days. So gas station owners, of course, make a small profit on gasoline sales. There's always a debate about this, whether they make any money or not. I've actually had people tell me, Steve, they lose money on gas. Well, I suspect they make money. It's a question of how much they make because they're really hoping to get you to come inside and buy other stuff. So according to the National Association of Convenience Stores, they make about 10 to 15 cents a gallon on the price, assuming it's priced properly. And rising prices hurt their bottom line as customers become less likely to buy the stuff inside the building, like the snacks and the drinks and the 5-hour energies and the other stuff. And of course, that's where they really do make their money. Their margins are better inside the store. So the guy here who got the great deal, he says, what I find most frustrating about this is that this man with the guts to own a small business would get screwed over by people for half the day. And so he suspects that other people spotted this and just simply filled their tank up and left and probably went home and told their friends. How many people this morning thought, it's my lucky day? Well, this man is getting taken to the cleaners. And so not everyone was happy that this guy brought that lucky day to an end. A man in line behind him got upset, who had apparently come up the station just to get his cheapo gas. I get it, times are tough and gas is expensive, but nothing in the world is free, he said. Someone is ultimately always footing the bill. So the man who made the Facebook post said that he then made it good and paid the owner what he should have paid for the gas. But that was not enough, of course, to cover the owner's losses because he'd already taken such a beating. But he said it seemed like the right thing to do. Now, if you go to a gas station, and I know you guys do, and gals do as well, look around at the gas pump, and you'll see all over it stickers of inspections and stickers for licensing. And it'll say this pump, at least in Michigan it does, this pump has been inspected on this date by somebody from the state. So the pumps are checked. They actually check to make sure that they dispense the correct amount of fuel. If it says it gave you a gallon, it better give you a gallon. They may also occasionally check the octane ratings of what's coming out of the nozzle and so on. And we tend to ignore all of those things. But generally speaking, if you break it down to its component parts, the transaction of you walking up to a gas pump and putting the pump in your car and pumping some gas and hanging the handle back up again, you're making a purchase. And the purchase of the product you're buying, a product, of course, is the gasoline that's in the ground, is fixed with a price on the pump itself. So if you go into a store and you find a widget, quite often your widget will have a price tag on it, or there'll be a thing on the shelf that says, here's how much this widget costs, and there's a price for that widget. And of course, that's the same thing that's happening with the gas pump out there. It's just a slightly different thing because you're dispensing something that's different, fluid. And so the thing about this is that if I walked into the store and this had the wrong price tag on it, and I walked up to the cash register and I paid and I walked out with it, legally, that's fine. But the question happens is, what if I walk into a store where there's a widget that clearly is worth $100,000? I'm at the Tiffany widget store, and it's worth $100,000, and somebody accidentally put a price tag on it for $1,000. And I walk up the counter and I pay the $1,000 and I walk out the door with it. Now, here's the thing. There are always two things you've got to look at with the law, and that is whether someone can come after somebody civilly with a lawsuit, and whether or not the police can come after you, law enforcement come after you for a criminal action, okay? And so if this item is mismarked, and I paid what it's marked at in good faith and walked out the door with it, right? I doubt that I can be prosecuted in most states for that, because what's the crime? Most crimes do require some form of intent. And now if I knew it was mismarked, or I had a crony mismark it for me, then that might be different. But I'm talking about just an honest, good faith person walks in, sees the price, doesn't know any better, and goes, I'll pay $1,000 for that. What do I know about diamonds on a widget? A widget encrusted with diamonds. I don't know. I hand him $1,000, I walk out with it. Call the police. That guy just bought a widget from us that was mismarked. Well, whose fault is that? But could they come after you for unjust enrichment? And that is a civil theory, a legal theory, that if somebody, through not necessarily any bad means, just comes out ahead in a way that doesn't seem right. And I'm using these words because that's what they basically say. It's unjust enrichment. You're enriched, but in an unjust manner. Somebody got hurt despite the fact of the best intentions of everybody. And it would be unjust to let you remain enriched like that. So getting back to the jewel-encrusted widget, if somebody spotted that and said, oh, that's a $100,000 widget, and you only paid $1,000 for it, and the mistakes that were made were honest mistakes, there's a good chance that the owner of that store could come after that person if they could identify him and sue them and say, we either want that thing back, we'll refund your $1,000, or we want you to pay the $100,000 that it cost. And that would be fair. Now, getting back to the gas station example, though, where a guy comes in and buys 10 gallons of gas and it charges him $4.50 instead of $45. Well, again, the unjust enrichment theory is going to stick there, but is it worth pursuing somebody for $45? And the answer is probably not. So you'll hear about stories like this once in a while where there's a gas pump that's malfunctioning or something like that. But if it's malfunctioning to the point where it's not charging anybody, people know that that's a problem. But with the 45 cents and someone swiping their card, they might say, I didn't even notice it. I didn't notice that. And how do you prove that? So there's a different thing there, but it's unfortunate because the guy that owned the station that this happened to, you can understand the mistake. It's literally just one digit got dropped off the price of the gasoline. But can he get his money back? No, probably not. Probably not. It's unfortunate. But I'm simply discussing all the other possibilities because people often ask about those. So when you go into a store and you buy something, it's kind of the same as going up to a gas pump and you're buying the gas. It's just you're pumping it yourself. But Michigan used to have a law called the Item Pricing Act that specified that when you walk into a store, every single item in the store had to have a price tag on it, unless there was an exception. Like, for instance, if you go into Home Depot and they've got a bucket of bolts, they don't have to put a price tag on every single bolt in the bucket. They can say, bucket of bolts, 5 cents a piece in this bucket, But if you walk into a store and there's, a Ryobi line trimmer in a box that in the old days, it would have a price tag on the box. And you go, oh, that's how much it costs. And unfortunately, they did away with most of that law. And so now you go into a lot of places and things aren't marked. I've actually gone into stores before and seen things that had 3 different markings on them, where there was different prices on the shelf, and it would say, this object, this item, and then 3 different prices. Which one is it? And if you're in a store where you can scan the item before you approach the counter, you can scan the item and find out, but it adds a lot of confusion. I'm a big proponent of having consumers simply know more. The idea is that if you know more information, you can be a wiser consumer. And I'm all for disclosure, especially when it comes to prices on products. But with respect to this guy here, yeah, the gas station owner's on the verge of tears after undercharging for fuel in Tennessee. He can probably now go back and do the math and find out how much money he lost, but at least one guy, good, honest customer, came in and told him about it. And that guy himself made it good as well. So there you go. From the Kansas City Star, Mitchell Willits wrote it. Steve, not me, send it to me. Thanks a lot. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Your experiences will be yours alone, but truth and best friendship will rarely, if ever, disappoint you.